7:18 a.m. and as I've already captured still images, which you'll see, this is just documentation showing what is the presence of the engineered light inside of my apartment, as you saw, remaining for the duration of the day, appearing on my ceiling throughout the day, appearing in my back bedroom, my bedroom back here, while the light source remained outside of this window, and then you saw it appear again in my on my ceiling on more than one occasion while the light source remained over the apartment. And as a matter of record, that was from 7 o'clock in the morning, and where the entity is maintaining a light source over my apartment all day long until it got to the west side of my apartment, which is the pattern of conduct, which was a span of 12 hours, with the documented presence of the entity engaging in the criminal elements of monitoring. That is crossing path and engineered light. That's what this is. That's what's all over my ceilings. That's what you see filling the inside of my apartment. This is pursuant to what is the maintenance of the light source, which is under no circumstances the sun, the natural environment. That's remaining as a matter of documentation while I'm capturing it out of this window in the morning, yesterday, May 5th, and capturing it outside of my bedroom window on the same day, May 5th, as late as 7 p.m. while the entity is group stalking in helicopter, flying in relevant position, which is the LAPD. That's the state of California, and that's also the outward demonstration of demon possession. This is the criminal system that the demon possessed are practicing in the state of California. And so I wanted to get video. It's 7:19 in the morning, so still images are already captured, just as a matter of a timestamp. And this video is for purposes of ongoing consistent documentation. And what you're going to recall is the sunset that you saw through my bedroom window yesterday evening. Engineered light that's manifesting on this bedroom wall. I'm facing the light source. Let me be clear, the mirror in my apartment is no... So first of all, just to be clear, this is the engineered light. That's what's filling my bedroom at 7 in the evening. This is the sunset. That was 7:09, 7 in the evening. I'm in the same apartment, 1806 North Alvarado Street. This is witnessing what is the through the east side of my apartment, facing the hillside. And again, at 7 in the evening, this same hillside is covered with engineered light, as though there would still be the sun. I guess necessarily it's both at the same time setting, aiming in sunlight into the depths of my bedroom, and also reaching over or perhaps around in order to touch on the hillside as well. Nonetheless, it's in every under all circumstances and possible light activity. It is within the pattern of conduct. This is the video evidence at what is 7:21 in the morning on May 6, 2022. And this is the video documentation showing what is the sunset that I documented yesterday, May 5th at 7 in the evening, which is the documentation, again, May 5th, the absence of any sun that would be over any other state, any other address, as it's remaining exclusively over my apartment, as I documented on video at 7 in the morning, during the 8 o'clock hour, during the 11 o'clock hour, during the 1 o'clock hour, during the 4 o'clock hour, and I'm capturing it again at 7 p.m. outside of my bedroom windows of the same address. Okay, so that is speaking to the exclusivity. And what is not possible while it's hovering over my roof. It's clearly above my roof. It's not over the Chase Bank on Euclid Avenue and Foothill and Upland, California. It's directly over my roof of my apartment in Los Angeles, okay, as I'm capturing that light source, which is where the entity is group stalking in helicopters. This is the sunset yesterday on May 5th. Is the presence of engineered light. As you see engineered light appearing on the tree right here, you're looking at what are all methods of stalking with light. All right, so the entity is engaging in this conduct while I'm documenting LAPD group stalking by helicopter. That's what started this video. That's audible activity, amplification, light source. That's LAPD that's group stalking while I'm witnessing the sunset through my living room window. That is the entity that is stalking in. And I'm at my bedroom window. Nonetheless, the entity is group stalking by helicopter. You're seeing the light source that is outside of my bedroom, my living room window. Like you just saw right now, it's 7 in the morning. This is the bedroom window where I am 12 hours later capturing the so-called sunset. So you're looking at the same pattern. First of all, you have the ongoing concerted conduct. You have demons that are engaging in heavy surveillance, holding the hand of a child, engaging in what is the federal offense. This is the same Maria Mercado that was group stalking with LAPD that flew over my apartment at 1:45 in the afternoon, which would be 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 6 hours from now. The entity is maintaining a specific environment where that demon that's living, engaging in the federal offense, which is a sex offense that she's committing right now, and using a child to do so on behalf of the state. All minor children are going to be removed from the custody of the people of state. And also Maria Mercado was group stalking with Julia Alvarez Lopez, and those demons engaged in congregation and eyesight. And I want to be clear, the demon possessed know everything that you're stating as you're stating it, and engaged in ongoing monitoring while that light source, which is the sun that's right now outside of my living room window, that was a series of hours later during the 1 o'clock hour, okay? 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. The sun is not remaining over one apartment building. I'm at building 1806. And it was still over my apartment while LAPD was group stalking at 1:45 p.m. The Los Angeles Police Department, which is the state of California, at 7 p.m. was group stalking by helicopter, flying in relevant position, flying in alignment to me, amplifying audible activity, the maintenance of engineered light, which you also saw appearing on my ceilings inside during the duration of the day. The light source, by the way, is on the opposite side of the apartment. There is no sunlight that is occurring naturally right now. So this is the appearance of what is engineered light. This is the engineered light that's covering the property. This is the significance of walking in that engineered light. The people of the state engage in this serious federal offense, criminal surveillance with children, via children. And where that criminal conduct is occurring is legally relevant as well. That is documentation of a sex offense, just as any other sex offense that you will not include children with, any other violent crime that you will not include children in, such as a robbery. All right. If you want to engage in what is filming, for example, pornography with minor children, that's a crime. In the same way, you're not going to include them in such sex offenses. You are not going to include them in what is state surveillance with the government. And that's exactly what Maria Mercado was doing yesterday. I want to be clear. While the light source is outside of my living room window at 7 in the morning, and you're looking at what is engineered light appearing above my head, you're looking at what was the criminal conduct of Maria Mercado, and she's monitoring right now while you're engaging in movement in that engineered light, which is not possibly the sun. This is the same property where, again, hours from now, it's still remaining over my apartment building, and that's only because I was in my apartment. Remember, Monday through Friday, the light source is not behind me such that I'm at my leasing office turning in this direction to get it above building 1806, which is where I'm inside right now. The entity is maintaining the light source adjacent to building 1810, which is why when I'm at my leasing office, I'm facing in this direction, not this direction. All right. The entity is engaging in group stalking with Amazon Prime, who was crossing path at Silverview Townhomes while the light source was remaining over my apartment building. All right. Amazon providing proof of criminal presence. Regardless of the target individual ordering a package, you have no lawful purpose to engage in the state's system. They engaged in crossing path. They do so with ongoing malice, knowledge of the fact that they're being documented pursuant to the demonic feature of the entity that's keeping you under surveillance in relevant position and on the venue of the internet. And under no circumstances is the natural environment consisting of what is the sunrise through your living room window and remaining over the same apartment hours later from that, which was 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1. That was 6 hours later. The entity is suggesting, and unpersuasively, and it is scientifically impossible, that that is a natural environment. And so you're looking at what is also the pattern I want to point out. This is engineered light covering building 1800. This is what the entity is doing on the opposite side of the apartment 11 hours from now, covering the surfaces with engineered light. The light source is on the opposite side of the apartment, outside of the living room window. Engineered light is always present, and when you're paying attention, I've got multiple shadows here, and the so-called sun is outside of the living room window. You have what's supposedly sunlight touching the building, and this is going to be covered under no circumstances as sunlight doing gymnastics, and then I guess touching on the window. And also remember what the entity is doing. Engineered light also touches the opposite building as though it's ricocheting and hitting the tree, hitting the building, going into the depths of the hallway. And then you also have light that appears in here. You're understanding the significance of demons that are getting in their vehicle in the parking lot. They're not going to work. They're engaging in the state system, and they do so seamlessly in concert with the state that is also stalking in helicopters. This is the maintenance of ongoing activity creation. And this is specific to what are the demon-possessed population. They know everything that you're saying. They know everything that you're doing. They know everywhere that you're located. And this light, which is an entirely unnatural, and this is not normal sunlight, while you're looking at what's supposed to be sunlight on my living room floor. So the question is, what is that? It's all engineered light. All right. In addition to what you're looking at here, when you are recalling what is this pattern, this engineered light is what is covering the hillside 12 hours from now at after 7 p.m. when I am showing what is the sunset while I'm inside of, I showed a lot of footage yesterday while I am inside of my, this is yesterday afternoon when I'm going over, and this is the engineered light. This is the sunset that I'm reviewing on video. And this is the intersection. I'm going to go over that in a second. But I want you to recall if it is captured in this video. 1 second. This is the, hold on. Engineered light. Hostile to your insistence that you not be subject to stalking and invasion of privacy. So this is the documentation of what I'm capturing through the interior of my bedroom window, as I was also capturing above my head yesterday, the engineered light that was above in my bedroom. This is the engineered light that's touching the bedroom wall. This is the sunset that's through my bedroom window that you just saw, and the entity was aiming the engineered light above my ceiling, which is what I was pointing out. So again, as I captured today, May 5th, which again, if that's the natural environment, then you're going to have what is substantially similar conduct. That's documentation of what I was reminding you about the sunset. 2 in the morning. I'm trying to see again, as I included. 1 second, because I want you to see it in this video together. Because there's a pattern that the entity is engaging in. The entity is engaging in what is a pattern of maintaining the engineered light over surfaces. And so let's see. So this would be in a screenshot. So at sunset, where the light source is on the opposite side of my apartment, so you can see what I'm talking about, where the light source is on the opposite side of my apartment, just like you see right now, engineered light is covering building 1818. There's a pattern in the evening while the light source is setting on the west side of my apartment, then this hillside is covered with engineered light. That's what the entity is doing on the opposite side of my apartment. And then throughout the day, maintaining this engineered light that is clearly not sunlight all over the ceilings, as you've seen, all over the walls in the hallway, following, in other words, stalking literally in the apartment with what is engineered light. And then you have the body of evidence of where the light source is in an entirely different region, while the entity was engaging in the same pattern, rising and setting the light source over me, which I will also give you as an example. So this was captured in the evening. Oh no, this is the same. In concert with the people of the state. That is, by the way, this is captured perhaps in still images, so I want to show you. I would rather you see it in the video that I'm including, in order for you to recall what it is that I've documented already. This is in the morning. What I'm capturing at 6 in the evening. The engineered light that's covering all of the sidewalk, and this is during what is supposedly the sunlight. You're looking at the maintenance of engineered light all over the property. This is what the entity is doing with engineered light that's covering the same property where this is where the sunset is present, okay? The so-called sunset, and the engineered light that's underneath my bed. This is the engineered light that's appearing on my ceiling while the entity is maintaining the engineered light for the duration of the day. The entity is, let me go back. I'm going in the opposite direction. That was the light source that was over my apartment, by the way, at 1 in the afternoon. The entity is maintaining the engineered light over the property. Here it is, the hillside. So this is the same hillside that you're looking at right here. So the entity's pattern with light, this is what I also want you to be mindful of. The evidence that this is not the natural environment that's clear. The sun is not going, in other words, the sun is not rising and setting, obviously, at one address. Okay, we have a natural environment. The sun is a gaseous ball of fire that is not hunkered down in alignment to a to a 3-story building, aiming light horizontally through the windows, and also creating not only sunlight that's appearing below you, but then you also have what is the sunlight that's also supposed to appear above you. But yet here in the living room where the light source is present, that light activity you see in my bedroom is not occurring. What you're witnessing inside of the bedroom is the pattern of maintaining, supplementing for the absence of what is this concentrated light, the illusion of what this is sun, and that sunlight, that's an illusion because that's not the actual sun. And I have evidence, which you already know, this is the substance of the P.O.C. The light source, or the hallmark of the P.O.C., the light source is over me in an entirely different region, literally while I was sleeping at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. And that same intersection is where the entity is conducting a sunset. And that is going to be directly and contrasted with what the entity is doing here, as you literally witnessed it yesterday. 7 o'clock in the morning, sunrise, 7 o'clock in the evening, sunset, replete with what is the ongoing evidence, filling the not only the environment with what is not possibly sunlight. And I want you to see the timestamp. This is 6:26 in the evening. The entity is covering the hillside with what is engineered light. All of this is the evidence of the specific environment, the people of the state that are group stalking by their address. This is the population that's engaging in a state of the state system of criminal surveillance. And that this is also while you are subject to what is that pattern of conduct all over inside of your private space. And that's the significance of capturing this sort of light activity, which you're seeing inside of my bedroom. While the windows are open, the light source is outside, and you're looking at multiple shadows of that ceiling fan. You're looking at under no circumstances is sunlight bouncing off of an object and appearing above your head. You've got the light source that's outside of the living room window, however, and you have what is light that's supposedly appearing on the floor. While the sun itself is no explanation for where is the light coming from. Because this is under a covered structure. The light is supposedly going through my living room window, but yet it's above in order to touch all beneath the on the building. Understand that this is impossible light activity. Look at the vantage point of the light here. It's going at a downward trajectory. The shadow of the building that I am inside of is beneath the building. These buildings are the same height. This should be a shaded building. This isn't even the natural environment though, because again, the evidence, I just want you to see that pattern of what the entity is doing with engineered light, okay? It's all impossible light activity and it's all engineered light. In addition to that, you have what is the maintenance of the light source that is in an entirely different region, which is a matter of documentation. First of all, on this day in 2022, I am remaining at the Museum of History and Arts, and at 8:21 a.m., the light source is going to be here over me. It's not going anywhere. And this is where I'm located at Holt and Euclid Avenue in Ontario. This is stalking in the path of light activity. That's the unity that is stalking by aircraft, flying right over the intersection. And that height elevation is not commensurate with what is the amplified audible activity. This demon is hopping out of the vehicle. I want you to see the light source. I'm documenting the P.O.C. that's surrounding me. They're also engaging in sexual violence while frontier community. And that's the light source that's directly over me. Hold on, I want you to see that. In cup, that's audible activity and light activity. They have been loitering in relevant position the moment that I turn on my camera and point out their demonic conduct, for which they'll be prosecuted for what is terrorism, facilitation by government. That's also group stalking by commercial airline planes. Under what is a fake sun, they are also engaging. All right, so I'm showing you at the intersection of Euclid and Holt Avenue in Ontario, California, which is the same location of the Ontario Museum, where I would get up in the morning, where the entity is rising the so-called sun directly, not just over the museum, but over the side of the museum where I was sleeping. It would be directly over my head, and this is as early as 7 in the morning. That's the light source that's at that same intersection, okay? This is clearly over the intersection in Ontario, California. The entity is maintaining a light source directly here over me in Ontario. You're looking at light that's supposed to be sunlight resulting from that sun, which you also know as a matter of documentation is remaining from the hours of 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Under no time is there any provision for there to be a sun over the intersection, also directly over me in Ontario, where it's also documented rising and setting. Let me remind you what I documented. That which is not the sun. It is 8:22 a.m. At 7:06 p.m. Exactly. The fake sun is setting right here at this intersection. And I'll show you what I'm referencing. I went over this yesterday, and I'll show you what I'm referencing yesterday in 2022 at 7 in the evening, and I juxtapose that with what's going on through my my bedroom window, while LAPD is group stalking in the path, flying in alignment to my bedroom window, where that which is not possibly the sun is remaining still in alignment to me inside of my apartment for a duration of 12 hours. This is that same intersection that I'm at on May 5th. May 5th, 2022, I'm at the same intersection in the morning that you just looked at. This is the same intersection. Alrighty, it is 7:06 p.m. And this is covering the environment with engineered light. That's what the entity is doing on the hillside 12 hours from now, covering the hillside with what is engineered light that's not sunlight. Neither is any of this sunlight. Neither is that any sunlight on my bedroom ceiling, okay, creating multiple shadows. None of that is sunlight. You're understanding the pattern. What the entity is doing is stalking with light, doing so on a major scale, which is it's revealed through the environment. That's revealing a massive system that's underway. And where this environment is present, the people of the state are both exhibiting their criminal cooperation, i.e. the group stalking, crossing paths with engineered light all over the buildings, reference the documentation of Ryder, a commercial actor reference the documentation of Amazon Prime, a commercial actor referencing the documentation of Center for Better Life, a commercial actor, the entity referenced the documentation of what are demons such as Vanessa Dries. The entity deleted the evidence, a vivid illustration of demon possession, and a psychopath that hopped out of their vehicle as though it never happened, which is the behavior, which is disturbing. It's no suggestion of innocence. And I'm referencing Tiffany Sherez, whose video evidence was removed from the Google Drive, where this entity is engaged in federal stalking on the venue of the internet. Nonetheless, this is the same pattern that you're seeing here at the intersection where I am present in the morning. At 8:22, like you just saw, I'm at that same intersection at 7 in the evening the day prior on May 5th. And this is the so-called sunset. Not a direct light going in this. They're all driving in engineered light. This is systematic group stalking. Driving in it. It doesn't disappear. That's directed light that their vehicles are driving through. They're demons that are stalking. I pointed this out before. 8HQS. Okay, so that's the museum right there, just so that you see where I turn my camera. This is the museum that's the museum right there, where I am getting up in the morning, and that's where the light source is rising over my head. And I'm standing at that intersection, feet away from the museum at 8 in the morning. The light source is hovering over my head. I'm at the same intersection at 7 in the evening the day prior, and the light source is so-called setting. This is the same pattern you're witnessing in Los Angeles, where you're inside of one apartment. I'm not even going anywhere. Inside of the windows of the same apartment, rising through the east side of the apartment, setting through the west side of the apartment. Not only is that impossible on its face, it's also speaking to what is impossible because that's clearly not the natural environment that is going to have any sunrise and sunset in Ontario, specifically over anyone's head in its zenith, and also seen setting at that same intersection in Ontario. And this is how you're understanding the pattern of conduct. Where the entity is surrounding with this specific environment, you have the population that's engaging in group stalking, and that malice that you saw exhibited by Julia Alvarez Lopez. This is the same impunity that you saw documented right now by Maria Mercado, who is including a child in an exceedingly violent sex offense, the malice of which is unprecedented. All right, it is unfathomable. And this is a psychopath that knows exactly what I'm doing as I'm doing it, and is grasping the hand of a child to maintain the false appearance of ignorance and innocence, even compassion, while using a child that is also a group stalker by virtue of activity creation in that specific environment, doing so on behalf and in concert with a corrupt government. That's actually what's going on right now, and this specific environment is the direct evidence of it, and the entity that is engaging in the light activity creation. You are not an innocent bystander when you're crossing path and engineered light is moving all across surfaces, which is as impossible as that light activity you see on my ceiling. It is as impossible as this light activity you see on the floor. The magnification of light through closed blinds, the duration of the light source for 12 hours while I'm in one address for the duration of the day, and the coexisting presence of the light source. For example, at 7:50, it's 7:39 a.m. at Starbucks at 706 West Holt Boulevard in Ontario, California. That's not all of that is not occurring at the same time. This is speaking to what is impossible. While you're also looking at the fact that California, Southern California, the locations where I'm at in California are not the center of the universe, such that the sun is remaining there. Also, the sun is not maintaining ubiquitous zenith presence, rising and setting over everyone, everywhere that you're at from the beginning to the end of the day. None of that is a natural environment. None of that is possible. None of that is in conformity to what we have been taught about rudimentary principles of the operation of the environment, and also what NASA itself continues to tell us about the so-called natural environment. None of this is in conformity to that. And this is not the gaseous ball of fire that would set us all aflame if it was seeing as how hovering down it is. This light source hovers over buildings. It hovers over my apartment. It hovers above my window. It hovers above my head everywhere that I go, no matter how long I go, no matter what direction I'm going. Literally on the 10 freeway. This is the ongoing specific prosecution of the entirety of the state. I have video documentation, the entity remaining at the same time while it's remaining over me in this apartment for the duration of the day. Documentation of the entity keeping the light source through the window of a vehicle that I'm on the freeway, the 10 freeway specifically, not in Los Angeles, okay? The 60 freeway in Ontario. All of this is that which is occurring. None of it is possible to be the natural environment. But this is what the entity is doing, and Maria Mercado is going to federal prison. That impunity, that inclusion of minor children, contributing to the delinquency of minors, making them, by virtue of engaging in the sex offense in the private space, is making a child a sex offender. Understand that what legally is happening. You are removing children from that environment, from that damaging environment. This is a terrorizing environment where the government is stalking an American citizen in helicopters 24 hours a day, engaging in what is a system of psychological terror, engaging in what is group stalking in concert with those that are engaged in corporate invasion of privacy, terrorism via directed light like you see on my ceiling, doing so in the most malicious manners, such as third parties that are bearing logos as though that is some sort of alibi to the same exact environment which is scientifically impossible to exist, which is why you are going to look beyond the veil, which is what the people of the state are relying on, that you are looking at what they look like, you're looking at their position, their age, their language, their race, what activity they're engaging in, what position or power that they feel like they yield in order to be some sort of rebuttal to the pattern of conduct, and it is all legally irrelevant. It shall be relevant for the ways in which the entity is terrorizing you and group stalking you and seeking to obstruct justice. It shall be relevant for the malice with which the entity is engaging in that pattern of conduct. All right. But none of it when you are understanding, first of all, demonic activity, the level of deception that is at play. And also you are understanding what is highly malicious, a corrupt government that is engaging in state surveillance in concert with the people of the state. Using minor children is exactly why all minor children are going to be removed from the custody of the people of the state that live at Alvarado Gardens. But it's also going to be, you're talking about removing the minor children who are living amongst what are criminals engaging in what is an unfounded and entirely un-American crime. This so-called secret society that are living with children, including children. And you're talking about engaging in this criminal conduct against somebody that you don't even know. All right, that's speaking to, and the pattern of conduct itself. Those that are engaging in the pattern of conduct, the mindset is necessarily revealed through the pattern of conduct. The pattern of conduct is occurring in the whole environment. You've got willy-nilly light activity. Any random demon third party driving by 1826 Lobdell Place is engaging in that light activity creation. Okay, while you're filling the private space in my workplace with engineered light, while it's covering the sidewalk, while I'm walking by in the shade and my shadow is appearing at a distance upright in front of me, that is speaking to massive surveillance. That engineered light, that unnatural environment is present for a criminal purpose, for a very specific and intentional criminal purpose, so that any and everybody is able to join in what is the ongoing objective to maintain presence on an ongoing corporate basis in such a way that is so malicious that it is beyond suspicion. In other words, it's hiding in plain sight in the unnatural environment. So in addition to that, that's P.O.C. Everybody that lives at Alvarado Gardens, including Maria Mercado, heavily documented engaging in the sex offense, engaging in what is ongoing terrorism with the state, criminal facilitation as well, which is an independent crime, federal crime as well. She's engaged in documented terrorism is, again, she's engaging in what is not only living at the crime scene, but each and every time you're monitoring, you're doing it in the shoes of the state. This is LAPD that is maintaining presence via Maria Mercado and that minor child who are group stalking on behalf of that corrupt state that is right now engaging in surveillance and doing so in the most psychotic method using helicopters. All right. The entity is engaging in what is federal stalking on the venue of the internet as well. It's not only the third parties that live at Alvarado Gardens, everybody working for what is speaker companies is going to federal prison. That ongoing pattern of conduct is underway in the workplace, as I've also demonstrated and documented. In addition to what is not the natural environment, I just want to give you an example of what the entity was doing, maintaining the light source over me at what is the location where I have stated I would wake up in the morning, and it is currently 7:45. So the entity is maintaining the specific environment while I would wake up at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, and I will just give you an example what would be relevant to 7 in the morning. This is the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. This is the so-called sunrise.
It is 7:04 a.m.
All right, so this time and date, August 30th, 2021. This is relevant to time of year analysis, daylight savings time. Same exact time, 7:04 in the morning. The light source is right here outside of my living room window, and this is where it remains for the duration of the day. As you saw yesterday's setting, 12 hours later outside of my bedroom window. And that's the Ontario Museum at 225 South Euclid Avenue in Ontario, California. This is the same location where that intersection, where from 7 in the morning, I'm there today in 2022. The intersection is feet away from this museum. At approximately 8:20, I'm at that intersection, feet away, and the light source is over my head. I'm at that same intersection yesterday in 2022 after 7 p.m., and the light source is engaging in what is a so-called sunset. While you are looking at it outside of my bedroom window here in Los Angeles, not occurring at the same time. That's the pattern of conduct where the entity is group stalking in one of the most spectacular ways, which I've documented amongst the multiplicity of police departments keeping me under surveillance by helicopter. The entity is engaging in what is maintaining this light source as I would get up at the Ontario Museum of History and Arts. All right, maintaining this light source as though that's the sunrise. As though you can see that over the hillside in Los Angeles through the living room window at that, aiming sunlight at the same time through my closed blinds, and also creating light activity somehow through the depths of my apartment, and creating light activity above on my ceiling above my head. That's the pattern of conduct of stalking with light. It's very demonic. It's entirely impossible. The presence of light, which is in other words, scientifically impossible to occur, unnaturally occurring, that is revealing the presence of the demonic, okay? It is the personification of the demon possessed, by the way. That ongoing obsession is personified through the presence of that light. That light is always appearing. That light is always following. You're also seeing that through the light source. Where that light source, where that engineered environment is present, let me be clear. The people of the state and the state itself are obsessively keeping one under surveillance. And that's the demon possessed. That's what the state of California is engaging in. I want to show you at 7:20 a.m. I'm at this is the same museum. 7:20 in the morning. This is relevant to time of year analysis, 2021, September 12th.
And over there.
That's the Ontario Museum.
At Emporia, and the state's light source is not over the museum, just like it's not over the museum.
It moves. So what I'm speaking to is as I move, the light source moves, and I've pointed that out. As I'm showing you, as I walk downstairs to my leasing office, this is not visible outside of the window of my leasing office. So if the sun, as I'm at my office during the day, the entity is moving that light source to be in alignment with me. What I'm demonstrating here at the museum is as I move, that light source is moving in alignment to me. While I'm walking away from that museum, that light source remains in alignment with me, which is what the entity is doing for the duration of the day. This is what the entity is doing for the duration of day here. And this is what you have here rising and setting as I stay in the apartment. That's the pattern of conduct, and that's impossible light activity. That is the mark of the demon possessed who are keeping you under surveillance, and this engineered light is central to that. The entity is doing so. This is the Ontario Museum of History and Arts, and you're looking clearly at what is the light source that's not going to be seen through the window in Los Angeles at 7 o'clock in the morning, aiming light through the blinds and remaining for the duration of the day, at no point providing no provision, in other words, to the sun being over the Ontario Museum of History and Arts at any time, let alone on the same block at Euclid and Holt at 7 p.m. for any sunlight for the people of the state to be driving in and out of, which, by the way, is engineered light that doesn't create any shade when they drive in it. That engineered light appears on their car as they drive in it. That's not normal light. That's the engineered light you see on my ceiling and you're looking at inside of my apartment. That's covering all of the property. This is a crime scene. That's a prosecution of an entire entity engaging in state surveillance. All right, it is currently 7:49 a.m. as you saw my alarm going off, but I just wanted you to understand the documentation, and this criminal pattern of conduct is occurring on the watch of Todd Speaker. All right, and speaker companies, where I'm subject to this criminal system. Speaker companies is nothing other than the malicious guise under which the same exact criminal system is occurring, and you are supposed to be delusioned or distracted or it's supposed to be some rebuttal from some allegation of the state surveillance system because you're working for somebody else under the name of speaker company. So the government's not here. Nobody knows. There's no group stalking going on. You're understanding the maintenance of the environment. The entity is flying over my office in helicopter, heavily documented. The entity is maintaining this engineered light that you see on my ceiling inside of the depths of my office. That's a specific environment. The entity is engaging in what is group stalking all along while they're driving cars. You've got what's supposedly sunlight moving all across the buildings outside. That's the specific environment where the entity is engaging in what is ongoing state surveillance in the workplace, which speaker companies, Todd Speaker, and the employees are going to be prosecuted. And the entity is going to be prosecuted civilly and criminally for this system as well, which is moving right on into the workplace, okay? The entity is maintaining this light source, and you are also understanding what is relevant to the workplace. Because I happen to be in property management, there are federal laws that govern private information which is not supposed to be distributed. Understand that the entity that's engaged in group stalking, this is federal group stalking monitoring, is simultaneously engaging in what is Title 18 criminal conduct. And that criminal activity on the venue of the internet is inherently occurring on my communication device. Everything that I'm stating, all the information that is being exchanged amongst those who are group stalking via speaker companies, employee personnel, they are engaging in what a violation of existing federal law regarding the personal and private information of federal housing, HUD housing policies, which legislates around the distribution, the unlawful distribution and sharing and access to private information belonging to federal housing recipients. Let me be clear, all of the entity is keeping me under surveillance. They're all monitoring on the venue of the internet with communication devices. And I mean even down to the demon that's driving the waste management dumpster truck, who's crossing paths with engineered light across Lobdell Place at 1826. The entity is engaging in what is massive monitoring on the computer inside of my office where I'm subject to that P.O.C. And you have the people of the state engaging in this criminal system also having access, also having access to that private information, which it shall also, and I'm blowing the whistle on that, the entity is also liable for civil and criminal prosecution for those federal laws, which Todd Speaker, all of the employees of speaker companies are simultaneously violating as well, and including the state that's stalking by helicopter, keeping me under surveillance, having access to such private private information for no legitimate, no lawful purpose. All of that entity is subject to a criminal prosecution, by the way. Just want to bring that to your remembrance. It is currently 7:52 a.m. and this is POC.